The rain had just begun to fall when one quiet act of courage changed two lives forever. In the corner of a crowded coffee shop, where everyone pretended not to notice, a young woman sat frozen with humiliation as strangers judged her without mercy. One by one, people looked away, choosing comfort over compassion. But then a tired single father, carrying nothing more than a backpack, a sleeping little girl, and a heart that refused to stay silent, stepped forward. He had no idea that the woman everyone had dismissed was one of the richest people in the world. What happened next would prove that kindness has a way of finding those who give it freely, even when they expect nothing in return. Before we begin, if you believe that kindness still matters, that every person deserves a second chance, and that one small act can change someone's life forever, please take a moment to like this video. Leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more heartwarming stories that remind us humanity is still alive. Daniel Carter had never imagined that life would become so difficult before he turned 35. 3 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him to raise their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Every morning began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, packed Lily's lunch, dropped her off at school, worked long hours as a maintenance technician, picked her up in the evening, cooked dinner, helped with homework, and somehow found the strength to smile through the exhaustion. There were nights when he quietly skipped meals, so Lily could have her favorite cereal in the morning. There were weekends spent repairing neighbors' furniture for a little extra cash instead of resting. Yet, despite the constant struggle, Daniel never allowed bitterness to take root in his heart. He believed that if Lily grew up seeing kindness instead of anger, she would become stronger than the hardships surrounding them. On one cold Friday afternoon, Daniel finished work earlier than expected because a severe storm had interrupted several outdoor repair jobs. Lily had insisted on visiting the little coffee shop near the library because they served the warm chocolate muffins she loved. It was a luxury Daniel rarely allowed, but after receiving a small overtime payment that morning, he decided they deserved one simple treat together. The cozy cafe buzzed with conversations, laptops, and the comforting smell of fresh coffee. For a brief moment, life felt almost normal. As Daniel stood in line holding Lily's tiny hand, the peaceful atmosphere suddenly shifted. Near the entrance sat a woman wearing an elegant but rain-soaked coat. Her handbag rested beside her, but she appeared shaken and distracted. She reached into her purse several times before her expression slowly turned pale. Her wallet was gone. The cashier politely explained that without payment, the order could not be completed. It should have ended there, but whispers quickly spread through the cafe. Some customers rolled their eyes, assuming she was pretending. Others quietly laughed, judging her appearance despite the expensive clothes, now damp with rain. The embarrassment on her face grew heavier with every passing second. Daniel noticed something that others ignored. It wasn't the missing wallet or the uncomfortable silence. It was the look in her eyes. He had seen it before in the hospital waiting room years earlier when strangers pitied him after his wife's diagnosis. It was the expression of someone whose dignity was being stripped away in public. Without thinking twice, Daniel stepped out of line. He quietly paid for the woman's coffee and meal, along with his own order. Then he picked up the tray and gently placed it on her table before returning to Lily. He asked for nothing in return. He didn't ask for her name, her phone number, or an explanation. To him, kindness was never a transaction. It was simply the right thing to do. Lily looked up at her father with wide eyes and smiled. In that silent moment, Daniel realized that children learn compassion not through lectures but through examples. The woman thanked him with tears forming in her eyes, but Daniel simply nodded before sitting down with Lily to enjoy their muffins. Within minutes, they finished eating and quietly left the cafe, believing the day would end like any other. The woman watched them disappear into the rain, unable to forget the father whose clothes showed signs of hard work, whose shoes were worn from endless walking, yet whose generosity carried the weight of extraordinary wealth. Her name was Evelyn Hart, founder and CEO of one of the largest technology investment firms in the country. Her fortune exceeded $4 billion, but almost no one recognized her because she avoided publicity and rarely appeared in interviews. Earlier that day, Her handbag had been stolen while leaving a business meeting. The coffee shop had been her first stop after discovering everything was missing, including her identification and payment cards. For the first time in years, she had experienced what it felt like to be judged solely by circumstance. Most people who approached Evelyn in life wanted something from her. Investors wanted opportunities. Executives wanted promotions. Reporters wanted headlines. But Daniel had wanted absolutely nothing. That simple truth stayed with her throughout the night. Over the next several days, Evelyn quietly asked her security team to locate the single father from the coffee shop. It took little time to identify Daniel through nearby security footage and payment records. What they discovered deeply moved her. They found a man working overtime every week, living in a small apartment, volunteering once a month at a community food pantry, despite barely making ends meet himself, and raising his daughter with unwavering love. His financial records showed unpaid medical bills from his late wife's treatment, a modest savings account that never seemed to grow, and not a single luxury purchase in years. Evelyn decided not to send money anonymously. She believed charity solved immediate problems, but opportunity transformed lives forever. Instead, she visited Daniel's workplace without announcing who she was. She arrived dressed simply, introducing herself only as Evelyn. When Daniel recognized her from the coffee shop, he smiled warmly, but seemed more concerned about whether she had recovered her belongings than about anything else. As they talked, Evelyn learned about Daniel's hidden talent. During weekends, he restored broken furniture in his tiny garage. Old tables, damaged cabinets, cracked rocking chairs, and forgotten antiques became beautiful works of craftsmanship in his hands. His dream had always been to open a restoration workshop, but life had never allowed room for dreams. A week later, Daniel received an invitation to meet with executives at Hart Legacy Investments. Confused and nervous, he borrowed a clean suit from a friend before arriving at the towering headquarters. Only then did he discover who Evelyn truly was. The woman whose coffee he had quietly purchased was the billionaire whose company employed thousands around the world. Daniel stood speechless as Evelyn explained that real wealth wasn't measured by bank accounts, but by character. She offered to fully finance his furniture restoration business, provide business mentors, secure a workshop, and guarantee educational support for Lily through college. In return, she asked for only one promise. She wanted Daniel to continue treating people exactly as he had treated her that rainy afternoon. Tears filled Daniel's eyes because, for the first time since losing his wife, someone had looked beyond his struggles and seen his potential. He accepted the opportunity, not as charity, but as a chance to build a future worthy of Lily's sacrifices alongside his own. Within 2 years, Carter Restorations became known across the state for preserving family heirlooms and employing people who had struggled to find second chances, including widows, veterans, single parents, and young adults aging out of foster care. Daniel insisted that every employee receive flexible schedules for family responsibilities, because he understood how precious those moments truly were. The company became profitable, but its greatest success was measured by lives rebuilt rather than furniture restored. Meanwhile, Evelyn found herself visiting the workshop often, not to inspect investments, but to witness kindness, multiplying in ways no financial report could ever capture. She watched former employees regain confidence, families reunite around restored dining tables, and children proudly visit parents who finally loved going to work each morning. Daniel had turned one simple act of compassion into a ripple that reached hundreds of lives. One afternoon, years after that unforgettable coffee shop encounter, Lily asked her father whether he believed miracles were real. Daniel smiled as he looked around the busy workshop, filled with laughter and hope. He told her that miracles rarely arrive wearing shining armor. Sometimes they enter quietly, disguised as ordinary moments when someone chooses kindness instead of silence. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that even the smallest act of compassion can create unimaginable change, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps spread more stories that inspire hope around the world. Special request: before this video ends, tell us in the comments about one act of kindness you have received, or given that changed your life. Your story might inspire someone who desperately needs hope today. As Daniel locked the workshop that evening, he looked at the sunset with quiet gratitude. He had never expected a cup of coffee to change his future. He had never imagined that standing up for a stranger would erase years of hardship. But life has a remarkable way of rewarding hearts that give without expecting anything in return. The greatest lesson was never that the woman happened to be a billionaire. The real miracle was that kindness had recognized kindness. In a world where many people measure success by money, power, or fame, Daniel discovered something far more valuable. A compassionate heart can open doors that wealth alone never could. And sometimes, the smallest gesture, offered to a complete stranger, becomes the beginning of the most extraordinary story of all.